Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Let me say that again. You can, not me, but you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. A new era for DC Comics live action is here. It's the 1st of November. DC Studios launches officially, and James Gunn and Pete Safran are in charge of the studios as co-chairs. I'm choosing to move on from the past and to embrace something exciting. Scott Edwards, what's up? Isaac Cruz Pineda, hey Mick, what's the news roundup today? John, hello Mick, Ashley, me, yo Mick. Isaac, there's not really much roundup, but it does look like that Geoff Johns is going to be part of the redevelopment of the Green Lantern show on HBO Max, which is upsetting a lot of people. Geoff Johns is very passionate about Jon Stewart. Today I received 2 DC animated films. One is the Green Lantern, whatever it's called, and I watched it, and I watched all the interviews, and it was very, very interesting. But there's not much news out there today, but there's lots of reaction on social media, and it's very sad that some fans continue to live in the past. So where are we? Scott Edwards, right now, let's look forward to Shazam 2. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I was told Wonder Woman was going to get a cameo in Shazam. Is that true, Isaac? It is true. Leroy Kong, hello Mick, hello guys. I wish the new heads all the best. Thank you very much. And I'm sure they're very grateful for all the fan support because they're going to need it. John, was Geoff Johns part of Smallville? Geoff Johns wrote the episodes Legion, one of the best episodes ever. The movie event Absolute Justice and Booster. And they were all great episodes. So he was involved with those 3 episodes. It was very, very special to have Geoff writing 3 special episodes, one in season 8, one in season 9, and one in season 10. They were great episodes, and it was really opening Smallville up to DC Comics. Scott Edwards, hopefully Diana will be handled better in the Shazam cameo than in the entire Wonder Woman 84 film, lol. Yes, Scott, I couldn't agree more. Terrible, terrible. Well, David F. Sandberg will handle her very well, and I'm hearing some good things. I mean, she's not in the movie for long, but she does turn up in a very important moment when Billy Batson, a.k.a. Shazam, does need her in that movie, and it's a fun cameo. So I'm very excited for everyone to see that and react to it. I do think that Shazam Fury of the Gods will be more successful and more loved than Black Adam. I just think people really felt ingratiated to these Shazam family characters. I think Shazam was a better film than Black Adam. And it's just a shame that Black Adam just couldn't stick to what he is, which is the nemesis of Shazam. Isaac Cruz Pineda, what's your thoughts on the Batman Penguin spin-off casting of Sophia Falcone? Falcone, should I say. I don't know the actress. I've never seen her in anything, but obviously Matt's cast her. And so it's exciting that we're getting that character. Scott Edwards, this is a good time to bring Diana in for an appearance. I think so, Scott. I agree. We haven't seen her for a while, and she's our Wonder Woman, and I look up to her as our Wonder Woman. Leroy Kong, Geoff Johns will be involved in all upcoming DC movies. I think so, yeah. Leroy Kong, Black Adam is a great movie. For me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, solid, somewhat entertaining. Scott Edwards, Black Adam is not a flop. It's not a flop, but it's not a tremendous success either. It was never going to be a tremendous success. But at the end of the day, and I've had an argument with someone, but these Hamada movies, and ultimately going forward, they're not going to matter. Now, someone said to me they're not Hamada movies anymore, that they're James Gunn and Pete Safran movies. No, they're not. These movies were made during the Hamada era. So if these movies go wrong, at the end of the day, it's not James and Peter that should be blamed for it. It's the previous leadership. Bat Super, the actress could cast for Sophia Falcone's the mother in How I Met Your Mother. All right. John, I have just started watching Smallville Season 4 on More 4. Is this your first run for Smallville, John? Isaac Cruz Pineda, so will Warner Brothers Discovery lose profit? They're not going to lose profit, but there's just not a big profit there. At the end of the day, they knew, look, they've come in and had to take over a shit show. So, this is not their responsibility. It's not their fault. They try to improve the film as much as they can, but they have to put up with these movies until they're done. Scott Edwards, I think they will greenlight a sequel of some sort. The movie has been well received by fans. The movie has been well received. I'm not necessarily sure Black Adam's future is going to continue in his own movies, but as he should be involved in the Shazam universe. So maybe no more standalone movies for Black Adam, and I can absolutely understand that decision. But he will be involved, I'm sure, if there is a future for this kind of universe, and it all depends what they do going forward. And we just don't know if they really are interested in continuing the DCEU or beginning a new timeline. And I'm not going to make I'm not Nostradamus. I don't know, you don't know. And this is the exciting thing. We've got two very competent people in charge. And what I want to see is like what I saw in the Bruce Timm animated movies and series. The comic books brought to life via animation, but I want to see the comic books brought to life via live action. I don't expect copy and pasting. I don't. But I want to feel that feeling of opening up a DC comic. Scott Edwards, we won't know all after Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I'm betting they are making a new timeline. I hope so, Isaac, because I think they need to do it, because people are not desperate to watch DCEU movies. And I think they need to do something to put their own stamp on it. And I think that's important. I think we can all see this isn't really working. Although I love most of the movies, it's just not working. Leroy Con, Grace Randolph hates Henry Cavill, James Gunn and Jeff Johns. Such a shame. Well, only, Leroy, if you think her opinions are relevant. And luckily for me, I don't think her opinions are relevant. She's just a blogger. She's just a YouTuber. John, no, it's not. I used to watch Smallville on E4 every week. Yes, season 4 is great. It starts off very slowly, but it's the whole idea of Clark earning the right to find out the knowledge of the universe that's meant for him. And looking for these free stones, it was a great way of launching the Fortress. Alan Miles, absolute geniuses. Scott Edwards, do you think The Flash Season 9 will close out the Arrowverse properly? I think so. Isaac Cruz Pineda, who is Grace Ronaldo? Let me say that again. Who is Grace Randolph? She's a blogger. She's a YouTuber. None of us on here want to know about finding love. Thank you very much. None of us need to find love, do we? We're in love with DC. We don't need love. Thank you very much. So at this moment in time, there's no hype. The studio haven't really done anything in terms of launching DC Studios today. But we know it's the 1st of November. We know it's the beginning of a new era. And that's all that matters, really. And it's very, very exciting. And the future is there to be embraced if you want to embrace it. Unfortunately, there's a certain fandom on Twitter that keep on looking to the past. And that's up to them. They can speak their nonsense however long they want to. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I just looked her up, and I now remember I find her reviews annoying. Listen, she's a mixed bag. So she certainly has good knowledge, and, she's watched a lot of shit. But unfortunately, her brand, her platform is built on toxicity and negativity. She's blocked me on Twitter. She blocks most people on Twitter. And she's a waste of my time, and she's a waste of your time. Because she used to have, people in there, but she doesn't anymore, and she's very sour. She doesn't actually know what's going on. And she can hate Henry and Jeff and James as much as she wants. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. She's nothing special. She's a failed actress. That's what she is. And she launched a YouTube account. That's what her career is. Jesus Christ, I'm doing better in the industry than she fucking is. So there you have it. But she's got more viewers. on YouTube. Doesn't that tell you everything about the world that we live in? She's a propaganda merchant. She's boring. Isaac Cruz Pineda, are you familiar with John Campea? Yes, he's also got me blocked on Twitter. He's another propaganda merchant, but I am familiar with him, yes. Another one, he got very angry when he couldn't get into the Disney Expo earlier this year. That was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, look, these people don't interest me one little bit. I love entertainment, I love film, and they're nothing to do with film. They're nothing to do with entertainment. They're like me, they talk about it. The difference between me and them is they're more successful at doing it. And, I congratulate them, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. They're irrelevant to me. They're irrelevant because their takes are terrible, absolutely terrible takes. Campea does like Man of Steel, but at the end of the day, the era of hyping up the MCU and listening to these shitheads and listening to what Rotten Tomatoes, the reviews and the point scores, doesn't matter. And with these Hamada movies, doesn't matter about the reviews, doesn't matter about the box office at the end of the day, because the only time I worry about box office if it threatens the future of DC. Well, we know that DC has a bright future. John Lois brought the funny moments to Smallville. She certainly did. She's a great casting, Erica. She's written perfectly. She's a perfect young Lois Lane. She was very, very good. Very controversial when they introduced her, because in the canon, she doesn't know Clark at this stage. So it was an interesting thing to do. She wasn't really involved with the other characters apart from Clark. She was in and out of that season. And in season 5, they made her a series regular because she was very popular. And look, what I love about Smallville is they kind of, display the relationships between two of Clark's only loves, Lana Lang and Lois Lane, and both romances are done perfectly. Leroy Kong, I'm looking forward to Henry Cavill's upcoming Superman movie. It will gross over $1 billion. Well, I hope so, but I'm not making those type of predictions because for me, that's just bad luck. We don't know. We just don't know. That's what a Superman movie should be doing. But, it's probably 2 or 3 years away. Let's see who's directing it first and who's behind this movie. Isaac Cruz Pineda, I don't think Superman will gross that much. Well, I want it to. There's no reason why a good Superman film, right, doesn't gross that. Now, Superman the movie back in 78 grossed $300 million. Today, that would be around $2 billion. So that's the kind of money Superman the movie made, right? Because obviously money's changed and everything. So if you make a good Superman movie that everyone can enjoy, there's no reason why Leroy's projection there can't come true. But when I talk about a good Superman movie, a movie that represents Superman as Superman, right? And it's as simple as that. But look, we're not Nostradamus, as I keep on saying. We don't know. Isaac Cruz Pineda, will the new Superman movie will be the sequel of Man of Steel, or will it become a different movie? Well, that is the $100 billion question, isn't it, Isaac? We simply don't know that either, because I just don't think we can assume this is a direct sequel to Man of Steel. It could be an absolutely different timeline Superman. I don't know what they're playing at here. It's obviously, you can tell with the way he's displaying himself in that post-credit scene, they've got some kind of idea what they're doing there and how they're going to go forward. So interesting. Rewind the Times. Hey, Mick, sorry I'm late. No problem. Welcome to the live show, Rewind the Times. And you're very welcome here on Movies TV Mad, as you all are. And we're discussing the launch of DC Studios. Henry Cavill won't stop talking while promoting Enola Holmes. He said he's happy that James Gunn is the co-chair of DC Studios. He's a very talented man, and he's looking forward to working with him. And he's basically even gone on about what kind of Superman he wants. So he's not going to stop. And no matter how many people on Twitter get upset, this is the new normal. This is what we're happening. You've got the Superman we got before. Kind of the general audience didn't come in for it. So this is where we're going now. And, nothing's going to stop that. And I just want, the new studios going forward and the leadership to give some clarity about the Snyderverse one way or the other. so certain people can move on and we can move on as well. Rewind the times. What is the DC movies called now, Mick? DCEU or DCU? I'm confused. I know overall it's DC Studios. It's now DC Universe and it's no longer the DC Extended Universe. Isaac Cruz Pineda, do you think it's possible for James Gunn and Matt Reeves will conflict in the future? What, you think there'll be trouble, you mean? No. No, there's no reason for there to be any trouble whatsoever. Bat Soup and the Snyderverse feels over. It does feel over. That would be my bet, but they need to clarify the situation. And Zack needs to clarify the situation. I think a nice let's move on tweet or something on his other social media platform would really help the situation. But these people don't listen. He was very friendly towards Henry the other day, and his fans are still going after Henry. There's something wrong with the people. Ronnie Dodge, hey, mate, good evening, Ronnie. How's it going? Welcome to the live chat. What are you thinking tonight? I don't think anything's been posted from DC or James or anything or anyone else. Rewind the time. Snyderverse definitely feels over. Yes, it does. Free movies. I mean, you can kind of add Wonder Woman 2017 to that and the first Suicide Squad to that era of films, and I think they were good. And it's a shame they didn't continue, but they didn't. Ronnie Dodge, I feel if we get anything, any news, it will be Thursday. Yeah, let's see. Bad Super. Some people will turn on Zack. Some people are so extreme in the fandom. When they're not our fandom. They're not DC fans, so... Isaac Cruz Pineda, what would we call this new era? DC Universe. Rewind the times. I just would like to get Ray Fisher back. Love his cyborg. Ronnie Dodge. It's the DCU era. Yeah, it's pretty obvious what's going on, isn't it? At the end of the day, they've launched the DC Universe. It's DC Studios. We know exactly what it is. And the DCEU no longer exists. Simple as that. It's dead. It's finished. Dead before it started. Finished before the creation of man. So we move on. It was an interesting era. It was a controversial era. It was, in terms of box office and reviews, it was very disappointing. DC fans had to put up with a lot of shit from other people. John, Henry Cavill said in an interview that he has not met James Gunn yet. Yep, I am. That's part of the quote I was saying. He hasn't met James Gunn yet. But he has met David Zaslav. He has had extensive conversations with David Zaslav. And he knows, listen, he did the scene, in the post-credit scene. He's announced he's back as Superman. So he knows he's back as Superman. And that's really all that matters. And he wouldn't have met with James Gunn yet because he was only announced as the co-chair of DC Studios the other week. So, yeah, all makes sense. Nothing controversial there. Nothing to be concerned about. Everything is moving forward as it should. Just going to have to show some patience. There is a long road ahead. There's a lot of things to fix. There's a lot of things to get right. Isaac Cruz Pineda, do you believe Henry's Superman can exist in the Batman universe? Well, he can exist anywhere they want him to. They can bring the Batman universe to the new DC universe if they want. They can bring the Joker universe into it. And I would prefer that to be who wouldn't want Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga to be part of this central universe at the end of the day? I mean, Lady fucking Gaga is a legend. Joaquin Phoenix is not only a legend himself, let's not forget who he's related to, the late, great River Phoenix. These are legendary fucking people. So, yeah. Rewind the times. Mick, give me your final money intake for Black Adam. November the 11th is when it hits China. Well, it's on a 250 million globally now. I think that's what it's on. So if it's lucky, it may reach 500 million, but that's if it's lucky. Ultimately, you are kind of looking at around Shazam money, which I predicted when I saw the projections. It was obvious this movie was never going to hit the kind of money that DC fans want it to, and it was never going to do that. Black Adam should have been a character in Shazam movies. That's what he is in the comics. That's all he is. And, you know, that's the mistake. Isaac Cruz Pineda, sounds like you have a crush on Lady Gaga, Mick. Well, no, she's a legend. She's a legend. The woman's a legend. She's a great vocal artist. She's now a great actress. I mean, you'd have to be living under a stone not to realize the woman's an icon. And for her to be part of a DC movie, that's fucking exciting. And really, how can you be a DC fan if you're not excited about that? So I don't have to want to shag her to appreciate her. She's amazing. Ronnie George, I think Henry has spoken to Peter Safran, but not James yet. Well, it doesn't really matter who he's spoken to. He's back as Superman. He's in a post-credit scene already. He's back, baby. Scott Edwards, you think Lost Kingdom will be the last appearance of Black Manta? It depends what happens with him in the movie. As far as I know, he doesn't die in that movie. So I don't know if they've changed anything. They have done some reshoots. But you can have an actor who's in both. If you can have a director like Gunn, who's been on Marvel and now he's on DC, so I don't think that means that. But yeah, look, Black Manta is a huge character and there's no reason to see the back of him just because the actor, has been ill-advised to join the MCU. I'm joking. We like a little banter against the MCU here on this channel. But yeah, he's a great Black Manta. He really is. Scott Edwards, who is the main villain in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? I'm not going to tell you. I ain't going to tell you. It hasn't been announced yet. So, but it's a good one. It's an interesting film in the sense of a villain and what is the villain. It's got a lot of environmental commentary. Rewind the times. Great question, Scott Lowe. Yes, a very good question. I don't think we're talking about a main villain as such. It's about what damage is going on with the environment and how not the Amazonians, but the Atlanteans and the humans are damaging each other. Ronnie Dodge, I love everything that Henry is saying. What he wants his Superman to be. We're going to get finished Superman without the build-up, but who cares? Henry's back. Well, we've seen an origin, and that was in Man of Steel. By the end of Man of Steel, welcome to the planet. He smiles. The setup's all there. And, so you don't need to set things up. He's ready. And that's if he's that Superman, right? We simply don't know. We simply don't know enough. Isaac Cruz, Pineda, Black Manta, Scott Edwards. Black Manta will be a major presence in the film, though. He will. Yes, he will. That's a definite. And very different. There's more. I think he won't wear the helmet as much. There's going to be a lot of, there's going to be an evolution of the character. Rewind the times. I hope Brainiac is a villain. Yeah, Brainiac is everyone's pick. We will see about that. That would be a huge movie, wouldn't it? Of course, we were going to get that in Bryan Singer's Superman Returns sequel, Superman Man of Steel, which is a shame we never got it. We should have got that film. And I feel bad for Brandon Routh because he deserved better. Yes, so Twitter is a boil with propaganda merchants getting very upset, talking a load of shit. One person saying Idea of Hope is more inspirational than John Williams' theme. These people, honestly. Scott Edwards, I love the first Aquaman. I'm so excited for the sequel. That first film, Scott, is sensational. I loved it. I still love it. I think it's an amazing film. And I think that's probably the last great DC film in a lot of ways. In terms of the breadth, the kind of set pieces, the way it looks, it's sensational. It's a very good film. And we're going to have to wait to the end of next year for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So, nearly said Aquaman 3, but I think I'm definitely jumping the gun there. But I'm excited. I think the other films will do better than Black Adam as well. I think there'll probably be better movies as well. I just kind of, Isaac Cruz Pineda, why did the Batman never pass the 1 billion mark? Well, you know, that's like asking, you know, why is the sky blue? I mean, it was a, you know, the movie was about the narrative, about the characters, about the world building. And there wasn't a lot of action in it, which probably put people off from going back again and again to watch it. But 750 million, Isaac, is good money at the end of the day. And it's certainly better than what Black Adam's going to make. Rewind the times. It's so annoying how no matter what is said or done, people just can't be happy Cavill is back. I hear so many people complaining about what type of Superman he should be. Well, the people who believe he should be the Snyder Superman are wrong. You know, he's talking about not being a mournful Superman. I wonder what he's getting at there. So Henry's not going to stop. Ronnie Dodge, I'm excited where the DCEU goes and to finally see the connective universe that doesn't rush. Yes, fingers crossed that look, they've got decisions to make, and there's no question about that. The decisions are there to make and for us to judge, and that's the way this process will work. And the decisions will come out, they will make their announcements, and we will decide as fans if they're the right decisions. John, how much screen time does Amber Heard get in Aquaman 2? Less than in the first one. And that's been well stated already. She's pregnant in the movie. At this moment in time, she's still in the movie. Nothing's been said, nothing's been announced, so she's certainly a problem for the box office of that movie, though. And even though I rate her as a great mirror, she is a problem for that movie. There's no question about that. And you'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to concede that. Isaac Cruz Pinedo, I love the bit in Black Adam between Hawkman and Atom Smasher. You and me, yeah. Scott Edwards, don't forget the Snyder Cut came out after Aquaman. Why is that relevant? I don't understand why that's relevant. Oh, right, I see, because I said it was the last great DC movie. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, yeah. But in terms of the canon, in terms of these movies they've been releasing, Terrence Wright, would be cool to see the Three Jokers story done in the Batman universe. Joaquin Phoenix and Barry's Joker. And a possible fan cast of William Dafoe version of Joker. That would be fun, yeah. And Willem Dafoe, shall I say, has spoken about that before. And he's even got an idea of his own. But he was kind of talking about that in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker universe. So, yeah. Will we see the Joker again in the Batman universe? Isaac Cruz Pineda, that sounds like an idea doomed to fail. Why? It didn't fail in the comics, my friend. You can't really judge anything until you've seen it in live action. Yes, so James Gunn's been very quiet today. Nothing from him yet. Maybe we'll get nothing from him. Well, people said Aquaman was doomed to fail after Justice League, and look what happened there. You never can tell. And everyone thought, some misguided people thought Black Adam was going to make $1 billion. Never going to happen. The Rock isn't the Paul that people think he is. As I said today, he ain't Tom Cruise. They shouldn't have allowed him to make a Black Adam movie. Black Adam should have been in the Shazam movies. You should know your place. The Legend CJ, yeah, that one. John, if they are not going to do anything about Miller, they won't do anything about Amber. Well, that's a good point, yeah. We will see. But we don't know if he's going to continue as the character. So these decisions are in flux, aren't they? Bat Super, old regime created a mess before they exited. Yes, they did. They did. But that mess has been around maybe for 10 years. Scott Edwards, they pretty much have to release the Flash movie now, right? Yes, you would think so. You would think so. But this is Hollywood and anything is possible. And Adby and DeLuca have already told Miller that if anything else happens, if any more problems occur, that movie, they've told him. They were considering cancelling the movie. And I told you that. And nobody believed me. So that was an option for them. So we'll see. Anything is possible in Hollywood. This is why I keep on saying to you all, don't make assumptions. We just don't know what's going to happen next. When you've got new leadership, new decisions are made for the best. Scott Edwards, was the Aquaman 2 test screening you saw with uncompleted effects? Yes. That was early on in the process. And now they've changed the movie quite a bit as well with reshoots. So I have no idea what that movie is going to be now. So that's interesting. And this is the point about test screenings. You're not going to see an actual movie that's completed. So by the time you see the theatrical version, it could be very different. That's the point. I saw a movie that had strong commentary, and it's clearly coming from Jason Momoa about the environment. And that story was very, very full on with the environment. But there's certainly some very interesting ideas in the film. But that should be a good movie because James Wan's doing it. Scott Edwards, from the CinemaCon trailer description, it sounds like Black Manta is the main threat. Yes and no. I think Ulm and Manta probably are going to be quite a big threat. But they're keeping it hush-hush about Ulm. Because this is meant to be some kind of brotherly Bond movie for Ulm and Aquaman. But Scott Edwards, apparently there's a giant octopus-like machine. So this is Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most, and welcome to the live chat. We have 7 likes. You're being a little bit more generous than usual with your likes. We have 8 viewers. We're talking DC. We're here to talk DC. We're here to talk movies, TV, whatever you like, within the entertainment realm, of course. That is my roadhouse. And hit me with your comments. Scott Edwards, it's definitely my most anticipated DCU movie next year. The Legend CJ, what would be a scenario in which the DCU would restart? Well, one way is the way Hamada was going to do it, which was to create a new timeline after Flashpoint. So at the end of that movie, the movie that I saw with test audiences was that we had a new universe. And basically, Barry comes back. He still remembers Superman, but Superman isn't there anymore. Kara Zor-El's there. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman's there. There's no Batfleck anymore. He's stuck in the Elseworld, and we see a little scene at the end of the movie where he's asking for Barry's help. I think that's the role he's going to play in the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom movie as well. So they had a new timeline already. So they could do it like that. Or they could say, after the last movie, this is it. This is the end. We go again. I don't know. I think more than likely, they're probably going to do something new and use Flashpoint to do it. John, do you think we will ever get an amazing Spider-Man 3? Well, I actually like Spider-Man 3, so Scott Edwards, are you more hyped for Mandalorian season 3 or Ashoka series? Both. I'm excited for both of them. I respect the people who are making those shows. So yeah, I'm not with a one or the other. I'm with both. I think Mandalorian season 3 is going to go very Game of Thrones with the Black Saber. Very. A darker season for sure. And that's my prediction on that one. So very excited about that because I'm not really watching anything else on Disney Plus right now. Not interested in the MCU. Scott Edwards, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni get the fans. Well, listen, they're serious people. They're talented people. It's just about making, I mean, really, maybe Star Wars should have ended after the prequels. I don't think there's much mileage in Star Wars the way George did it. It was a one story. And probably it should have ended with that story. But of course, it's one of the biggest franchises in the world. They're trying to milk it. I just don't think it's that possible to milk it anymore. And certainly Filoni knows how to milk it because he was literally the apprentice of George Lucas. So he's the only one who really gets it because he worked with George. George recruited him. So he should be involved in everything Star Wars because he gets it. Because he was brought on by the creator, the father of Star Wars. Scott Edwards, you think Thrawn will be the main villain in Ashoka? Maybe. The Legend CJ, it feels good knowing DC has beaten Marvel 2 years in a row. Have we? Have we beaten them? I don't know. Isaac Cruz Pineda, what would be the way Zaslav restarts the DCEU? The way? Didn't someone just ask me that? Anyway. I'll answer it again through the Flash movie, via Flashpoint, or just starting from scratch. I mean, it would make more sense to use Flashpoint, but who knows what they're going to do? We just don't know. Scott Edwards, what all upcoming MCU film will you watch? Well, there's nothing really coming out that I'm that excited about. I mean, look, I'm not consuming them anymore, really, to be honest with you. I'm not that interested in the MCU. I don't care about Wakanda Forever. It does nothing for me. I'm not interested because I know what they're doing now. So, and they don't want people like me watching it. You know, they've made their position, you know, perfectly clear with She-Hulk and the commentary that television show made. Isaac Cruz Pineda, did you see Black Adam in theatres, Mick? I did. Scott Edwards, you should go see the big films like Avengers, Kang Dynasty. Maybe, but that's a long way off, isn't it, my friend? A very, very long way off. I can't even think about what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow. Never mind going to see Kang Dynasty. And at the end of the day, I'm 50 years old. I don't want to waste my energy on a franchise I don't care about. Terence Wright, did you enjoy Netflix Daredevil? Yes, season 1. That was done by Stephen DeKnight, former Smallville writer, by the way, Stephen DeKnight. That was my favourite season. It kind of went downhill a little bit for me after that. John, do you like the Book of Boba Fett? Listen, I said from the beginning that doing standalone Boba Fett was never going to work. He isn't an interesting character at the end of the way. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't Obi-Wan Kenobi terrible. But yeah, he's not a character that really interests me. They were talking about doing a movie of him. That would have been a fucking disaster. Bat Super, the new Blade movie is never going to top the original. But that's the problem they have, Bat Super. It can't. Because they're not willing to go to the R-rated place. They're not willing to do a dark. To do a Blade movie, you've got to cross the Disney line. And they're not willing to do it. Now, they're rewriting it all over again. It's an utter mess. And the lead actor is not happy with them whatsoever. They've already lost the director he brought to them. So it's a mess. It's a mess. But the MCU get away with their messes and we don't get away with our messes. That's the way it is when you're the blue-eyed boy of the family, I'm afraid. But there's a lot of problems within the MCU. I mean, there's been lots of rewrites and reshoots for the Marvels, for example. That film has had a lot of problems, but no one wants to talk about it. As I say, it's like when I was a kid, my brother was the blue-eyed boy, and I was the one always blamed for all the accidents. Isaac Cruz Pineda, how many times did you go see the Batman in theatres. I saw a test screening and then I went to see it in the cinema. Scott Edwards, I hope Ashoka has a lot of action sequences. I hope so. I mean, I want to see the character element. I don't just want to see action, but hopefully it's got a good balance, and I'm sure it will do. I mean, Disney's Star Wars isn't famous for its action, to be fair. Scott Edwards, Andor sucks. Never saw it, not interested whatsoever. It's all part more of their propaganda. You know, doing something that's set in the real fucking world. Star Wars shouldn't be part of the real fucking world. You numpties. Yeah, and before people say, yes, George Lucas talked about, some, manipulative force manipulating the world, and we've seen that in fascism. I get that, but it's still fantasy. It's still exciting. Scott Edwards, but the Mandalorian action sequences are amazing. Yeah, but there's not a lot of it, is there? The Legend CJ, the only decent Disney Star Wars project was Rogue One. Well, do people like Rogue One because of the Darth Vader bit at the end? I mean, was it all that? Was the rest of the film all that? John, do you think Deadpool 3 will be rated R? It is going to be rated R. That's official. So that's definitely R-rated at this moment. I mean, and Ryan Reynolds really had to fight hard for that. That wasn't an easy thing to accomplish. Not with Disney and not with Marvel Studios. But they can't upset Ryan Reynolds because without him, they don't have Deadpool. And they know that. So that's the advantage he has. And so, yeah, definitely an R-rated movie, that one. We got Hugh Jackman as Wolverine back. Scott Edwards, I actually enjoyed a Birds of Prey movie. Well, that's your personal opinion, but yeah, I didn't enjoy that film. I thought the film was a mess. It didn't represent the Birds of Prey properly. And the only person, and the star of the show was Harley Quinn. And, Harley isn't supposed to be part of the Birds of Prey. Not my type of movie, I'm afraid. That's when the DCEU started to lose me. Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey are a big low for me. And that's when I started thinking, this Hamadaverse, not fit for purpose. And if he remained, it would have got fucking worse. I mean, I'm talking about phase 4 levels of MCU. That bad. The Legend CJ, how much of a drop do you think Disney and Marvel will have in the next 5 years? How much of a drop do you think Disney and Marvel? Well, I think things have changed over at Disney since Bob Iger and Alan Horn have left. It's changed, and Bob Chapek isn't fit for purpose. So I think they will. And I think the MCU will drop off. There's no question about that. I mean, when you're having to develop a Wonder Man streaming series, you're running out of characters. And, they can't even do a Hulk movie. So, yeah, I think it will drop off considerably. It will take time. It's still a very, very popular franchise with the kids and the general audiences. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot to knock it off its perch. But it will knock itself off its perch. Empires are destroyed from within. Scott Edwards, what do you think of Stargirl's cancellation? Well, I'd rather the show be a trilogy of series and they finish the way they want. Obviously, you don't want anyone to lose their jobs and gets cancelled, but things are changing over at WB and it can't be helped, and they knew full well this was going to happen. And, Michael Breck is very grateful for the opportunity. Jeff Johns did a great job. I mean, the character's based on his dead sister. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, there's shows that I followed for one season and they were canned after one season. There was a show called Invasion starring Bill Fincher. Very good show. Cancelled after a season. These things happen. The Arrowverse is at 10 years. 10 years in existence. Isaac Cruz Pineda, is DCU going to build up to Darkseid again like MCU did with Thanos? Well, they're definitely going to build up to something, but not necessarily Darkseid. Scott Edwards, do you think Superman and Lois will be cancelled? Yes. I do. I'm not happy with the recasting of Jonathan Iver. None of them came out to support the lad, so there's clearly a problem there. So that show's kind of lost me now. They've changed actors anyway. But I do think Superman and Lois will be cancelled, yeah. Again, fewer seasons can be good for a show. At least it can go out. I mean, it's not like they're telling a definitive story. It isn't Smallville. So there's nothing really. I mean, obviously you've got the two sons. I mean, you could do a spin-off about the two sons. That's an interesting thing. I mean, Superman and Lois is okay for me. It's not definitive for me. It's not Smallville, you know. So for me, Smallville is a definitive show because it was building to something, and it was made during a time when people actually gave a shit about what they were doing. Rionix creator, would you prefer the Batman sequel to be called Chapter 2 or something more specific? I don't like things like the Batman 2 or 2 in the title or numbers in the title. I do like titles. For example, the Superman film that's coming, I want it to be Superman and Brainiac attack, or, you know, a title, a proper title. I always find the numbers with a film sequel a bit lame and very lazy. Scott Edwards, will Arrowverse Justice League be in the Flash season? Maybe. Scott Edwards, 9. Who knows? Who knows? You've got to be able to get the actors because they're all working elsewhere now as well. So it's quite difficult. I don't think any of those actors, for example, Stephen Amell is working on Hills. He's very busy. So it's difficult. But I think he works in Canada still. So that would be an advantage if they wanted to use him. Isaac Cruz Pineda, so no Man of Steel, just Superman. It could be Man of Steel, something. It could be called Superman Rebirth. I mean, I don't mind the title Man of Steel. It's something he's called in the comics. That's fine. I was just giving an example there. John, why did the actor leave Superman and Lois? Well, the official statement was he was suffering with anxiety and depression, but I think he had a falling out behind the scenes. And the actor who plays the other character, Jordan, unfollowed him on Instagram. So I think that kind of tells you there's a problem. The Legend CJ, The Man of Tomorrow is a good title. That's a great title because it comes from the comics as well, which will make people happy. And I know some people hate the fact that you have to kind of abide to a lot of things from the comics, but it's the Bible. You know, you don't have to copy and paste it, but people just want a little bit of loyalty to that Bible of these stories. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know a few filmmakers get frustrated. Well, don't be involved. Don't be involved. That's fine. Don't lose your shit over it. Don't cry over it. Isaac Cruz Pineda, who did they cast to replace the actor that left Lois and Superman? I don't know his name. I can't remember. He looks all right. It's not his fault. So support him if you're watching the show. But yeah, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It certainly does that. And I'm sorry. The Legend CJ, how do you think they can add Doomsday later on since they can't kill Superman again? Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because that certainly can't happen. But what could happen in an offshoot, in another universe, we could have the whole death of Superman and Superman Lives in a one-off movie, in a trilogy of movies, maybe. That would be interesting because you want to do the whole story from the comics. It's like Flashpoint. Preferably, you'd want that to be adapted directly from the comics. They're not going to do that. But in an offshoot, you could definitely do Doomsday. In this continuity, you're right, you can't. But you could do a trilogy about the death of Superman. Now, we don't want to see that now. As you say, it's been done and done badly. Let's be clear about that. Their version, the DCEU's version of the death of Superman, I wasn't happy about it for a multitude of reasons. Scott Edwards, I can send you a Star Wars article to read. My phone switched off, I'm afraid, Scott. I'm having trouble charging it, so I can't be reading articles. I apologize about that, of course. Isaac Cruz Pineda, if the Batman universe merged with the new DCEU, what would happen to the Batman Rose Gallery that already exists, like Killer Croc from Suicide Squad? Well, they're just going to forget Killer Croc, aren't they? They're just going to pretend he didn't exist. I mean, that's what recasting's all about. I mean, you've got the Joker as well. I mean, it's clear they're not going to use Eisenberg or you know, Jared Leto. I'd be surprised. I like Jared. I think Jared's a great actor. I saw him in a film called Mr. Nobody, a great movie. I don't personally think he's a good Joker. I don't think he's a bad Joker. And to be honest with you, Barry Coogan didn't win me over in the Batman. I'd need to see more of him. You know, there's been some iconic takes. I mean, Cesar Romero in the original Batman series, great Joker. Jack Nicholson, great Joker. Ledger, clearly a great Joker. Even the one in fucking Gotham was a great Joker. So I'd rather see him from the Gotham series come in somewhere. But you've got to have that imagination. And unfortunately, a lot of these people in films today lack the imagination to make the correct decisions. You've got Michael Rosenbaum, the best Lex Luthor. Why not use him? No, they cast Jesse Eisenberg when they could have cast Michael, who's fucking perfect. Born to play the role. He was even hinting for the role. Abraham Herrera. Good evening, Abraham. I read that Gunn ain't interested in Cavill's Superman. That doesn't even make sense. And where did you read this, my friend? Tell me where you read it, and we'll deal with it straight away. As an intelligent person, Abraham, as you say, it doesn't make sense. But think about it. Don't take any notice. Henry's back as Superman. He's announced he's back as Superman. He's talking about Superman. So, you know, if we were to be in a situation again after all of that it's not happening, that would be a mess. That wouldn't look good on James or Peter or Henry, because Henry's come out and said Superman's back. So clearly Superman's back. But you have to tell me, Abraham, where you get these things from, because otherwise I can't tell you if it's a good source, a bad source. Scott Edwards. But where did you read it, Abraham? But that's what I mean. These people are ridiculous. Where did you read that? From a tweet? I need to know these things. But you're right. These people are ridiculous. So it doesn't matter. Unless it's from official channels, Abraham, I wouldn't worry about it. Will they recast Ben Affleck as DCU Batman? Who knows? That's the thing, isn't it? That's the marvelous thing right now. We simply don't know. Happy to continue with Ben. I'm happy to continue with somebody else. Whatever they decide, I'm fine with. I'll go with it and I'll judge it when I see it on the screen. Oh, well, there you go, Abraham. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That tells you everything. Yeah, they're not reliable whatsoever. Scott Edwards, is Ashoka a better character than Rey? I liked Rey in The Force Awakens, and I think I didn't dislike her in the other films like other people did. But yes, there's no better female character apart from Leia than Ashoka in the Star Wars universe. But I love Daisy. I love Daisy. I've spoken to Daisy a couple of times. She's a lovely kid. She got a lot of hate, undeserved hate. And, you know, this is the world we live in. It's very sad. Daisy Ridley's a very lovely girl. Daisy Ridley's a talented young actor, and she deserves better than what she got. But I thought her and my boy, John Boyega, who follows me on Twitter, by the way, had great chemistry, and I wanted to see them have the great romance. Isaac Cruz Pineda, you think Robert Pattinson will gain a bit more muscle for mass for the Batman 2? Maybe, but I don't think it's important. He looked great in the film, so I have no issue with the muscle mass he had. If it's whatever Matt wants to do. Matt was happy with Robert, you know, and I think we were all happy with Robert at the end of the day. I think I need to rewatch the Batman again. I think it's a fine Batman movie. I just don't think it's one of my favorites, but I do like the Batman. I'll be clear about that. It's a 3-hour Batman movie, epic Batman movie. It's a very good effort. And I think people will fall in love with that universe the more they make movies. Very excited about the Penguin, Arkham. There's big things going on with that. So it's all great. It's all exciting if you're a DC fan. I don't stand directors. I stand DC. So if you're part of DC, you're part of my family. I love you, you know. Isaac Cruz Pineda, what's your favorite Batman movie? Batman Begins and then Batman Returns. I love those movies, and it would have to be Batman 89. But Batman Begins, for me, is a perfect Batman movie. It's emotional. It's a great origin. It works. The suit looks a bit dated now, but yeah, I love that movie. It's great. It really is a great movie. The Tumbler is a great version of the Batmobile. Yeah, so I love it. Scott Edwards, is The Dark Knight overrated? Well, I prefer Batman Begins. I don't think the film's overrated. I think it's an excellent film. And I love the way it ends in a kind of seminal cliffhanger as well. I just don't think the way they dealt with the next movie helped, because they lost, they lost Joker, obviously. So that was a problem, because, Chris had planned to add the Joker to The Dark Knight Rises. Isaac Cruz Pineda, yes. Yeah, Batman Begins is a special movie to me. It's such a good movie. The way he uses Christian Bale to his strengths as well. So we get as much Bruce Wayne, Christian Bale face time as we do in The Mask. I think that's important. If you're going to use Christian Bale, you need to see him. Scott Edwards, do you like the movie The Patriot? What, with Mel Gibson? Absolutely. What a film. Before this war's over, I'm going to kill you. Why wait? Love it. Love it. I love the movie The Patriot, if that's what you're talking about. Great movie. Mel Gibson's a legend. One of the best directors in the business. The Man Without a Face. The Passion of the Christ. Braveheart. Man's a fucking genius. And he's doing a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. Scott Edwards. William Tavington was a greater... I don't know what you're talking about. Isaac Cruz Pineda, what DC hero made you fall in love with DC Comics? Well, listen, I fell in love with Superman with the first Superman movie, first movie I ever saw. And then Smallville made me fall in love with DC Comics, the way they were bringing in DC characters, educating me to this DC worlds and these characters. I started reading up on them. So that's how I fell in love with DC. Scott Edwards, William Tavington was a great bad guy in The Patriot. That's the guy from Harry Potter, right? That's who you're talking about. I can't remember his name. But he was a very good bad guy, yeah. Malfoy's dad from Harry Potter. Yeah, that's who you're talking about. I don't remember names, Scott. Scott Edwards, favourite Ashoka moment from Star Wars. Do you know what, Scott? Clone Wars is such a haze to me now. I couldn't even... I think the first episode between when she's introduced and, he first starts calling her Snips. I think the introduction of her and the way he doesn't really want to work with her and she's questioning him all the time. It's a very Holmes and Watson, isn't it? And I love the relationship. It's great. It was a great idea. I remember when Clone Wars first came out, it was groundbreaking, because to have an animated series spinning off from the prequels was beautiful, because I'm a fan of the prequels. Scott Edwards, Jason Isaacs. Yep, that's right. Love Jason. Very talented man. Very talented man. But yeah, Patriot's a great movie. And of course, Heath Ledger. First time I saw him. And do you know what Mel Gibson said during the marketing? He said, he's going to be the next Mel Gibson. A bit arrogant of him to say that, but he said he's going to be the next best thing. And Mel knew, and Mel was right. And one of Mel Gibson's earliest films, he played a gardener called Tim, who had an affair with a woman he was doing the gardening for. And he was very young. Australian movie, you should check it out if you're into slow-paced character movies. It's called Tim. Yeah, it's not kind of superhero-y or exciting, but it's his first movie. Scott Edwards, favourite villain in North and South from the 80s? Oh, Okano Bent. Okano Bent is a fucking legend. He's hilarious. And I can't even say half the things he says in that, because obviously they're racist, which I don't approve of course. But he's an amusing villain. We had a great cast. The late, great Patrick Swayze. The story is so emotional. And I think it's a story we should do today. With the kind of battle of the genders today, we could do a North and South where there's a civil war between men and women, and then this man and woman become friends. Maybe I should do that. That would be fucking awesome. Isaac Cruz Pineda, do you rate Top Gun Maverick, Mick? I do, and the 4K is on its way to me in the next few days from Amazon. Very excited to rewatch that. Yes, I love the movie. It's a very good movie. Is it the best thing ever? No. But wow, it was a great experience in the cinema and a great sequel. I mean, I just think it's really good. Tom Cruise is a legend. Forget about him personally, but as an artist, he's a legend. Works so hard. Scott Edwards, Philip Kasnoff is such the opposite of Okano Ben, who he plays Lol. Shows what a great actor he is. Yeah, great actor. Yeah. What a performance. What a performance. I mean, look, John Jakes, like Love and War and Peace, or whatever the books were called, great. And to catalogue two people on opposite sides becoming friends is a beautiful thing. And it tells you the folly of war. It tells you how, stupid war is when, these two men realize that and they want to be friends. Ori Main is from the South, but he's a good man. So, yeah, I love it. And nobody knows what we're talking about. But please chime in, everyone, whatever you want to say. Scott Edwards, my favorite character are Ori and Brett. No, you know who I fucking love because I love a bad girl. What's her name? Oh, Ashton, the sister. Oh, I like Ashton. And I love the actress, but yeah, Ashton was a bad girl, wasn't she, man? I fucking loved Ashton. And I was just at the beginning of puberty when I watched that. She was fucking hot, man. Terry Garber, wow. Terry Garber ended up being in Dynasty as well. Yeah, she was oh my God. Terry Garber, I don't care if you're old, I'd still marry you. Maybe I'm getting carried away, yeah? Get her away from me! Get her away from me! Ryan Nick, the creator, do you think Wolverine will die in Deadpool 3 or stay in the MCU and the character will be recast? Well, this is supposed to be set before he actually dies in Logan, so they can't kill him. So basically what Ryan and Hugh have said is that they're not messing with that. This is prior to that. So they can't kill him in this movie. Eventually, they're going to have to look at what they're going to do with the character. I don't think you should touch Wolverine with somebody else for like 10 years. He's the Christopher Reeve of Logan, isn't he? Let's be honest. The legend CJ, Jennifer Connelly was a babe back in the 90s. Oh, she still is. Scott Edwards, an Ashoka movie would be amazing, or are you glad they went with a series instead? Well, I think a series is better for her. Abraham Herrera, I don't think we know yet if Deadpool would be put in the main timeline. Well, Deadpool, obviously. Yeah, well, I think they're going to do that because the potential's too huge. They're going to have to PG him up in the end. And this is a problem between Reynolds and Faye. Oh, Bat Super, the legend CJ and Liv Tyler. Oh, yeah, I love Liv. But that's an interesting point, Abraham, because it's something, because in the comics, you've got Deadpool mixing with Spider-Man. There's fun things you can do with Deadpool if you take him outside of the R-rated realm. But I'm not sure if Reynolds wants to do that. So it's going to be interesting, and he's a hard taskmaster. So they had to jump through some hoops to keep Reynolds. Reynolds is very important. Nobody else can play Deadpool right now. So I don't think the second one was as good as the first one. I thought the second one was slightly a letdown, but an okay movie. But it still made good money because the hype's there. And I think this is why they're bringing Hugh Jackman in, because they kind of know it's going to be too ordinary. It's all been done. You see, Deadpool, there's only certain things you can do with Deadpool. After you've done him once or twice, there's not an interest level there, really, what you do with him. So this is why they're doing this road movie. It's garnish, and people will fall for it. They love this kind of shit, don't they? So this is why it's been done. But I tell you who I did fall in love with as a young man. I remember the first time I watched Supergirl, Helen Slater as Supergirl. I fell in love, mate, hard. It can win. Okay, yeah, you're right, bruv. Abraham Herrera, Deadpool with Captain America would be insane. But Steve is old in the timeline, so it can't happen. Well, it can happen with the current Captain America. It went, okay, same here. I fell in love with her. This is Movies TV Mad. Bad Super. One of my biggest crushes growing up was Sarah Michelle Gellar. I liked her in the movie. In that movie with Ryan Phillippe. Oh, yeah, I liked her there. She was a bad girl. A bad gal. Cruel Intentions. That's it. She was great in that movie. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bat Super, she was very naughty, wasn't she just? That's the best type of woman, isn't it? Abraham Herrera, mine was the foreign chick in American Pie. I never saw those movies, actually. Scott Edwards, is Orm kind of like Magneto? No. No. Welcome to the show. If you're just coming in, we're talking DC, we're talking TV, we're talking movies in general. So welcome if you just come in. If you've left, bye-bye. Jeff Hill, hello. Scott Edwards, as fan as motivations, I mean, no. Not really, no. I know what you're driving at, but no, not really. I mean, you've got to give it to Bryan Singer, whatever you say about him. He cast Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman. Jesus Christ, that guy. I mean, that kind of casting hasn't happened since Superman the movie with Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando. So sensational. But he did have Richard Donner and his wife producing those movies as well. Different industry back then. All changed now. The Legend Studio, do you have more international followers or local? Well, yeah, no one from Cyprus follows me. It's mainly American. It's mainly British, and maybe some people from kind of Latin America, that kind of thing, I think. But no, locally, I don't think nobody's interested. Because really, I'm tuned in to YouTube, UK, America. Basically, it's people who are into what I'm into, isn't it? That's how it works. Bad Super, unpopular opinion. Chris Evans as Human Torch is better than Chris Evans as Captain America. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. It's all about opinions, isn't it? Ryanix creator, is it likely Zoe Kravitz will return for the Batman sequel? Oh, absolutely. She's got a big part to play, definitely. Scott Edwards, I wonder if Ashoka ever met Han and Leia. Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that Zoe will be in the Batman sequel. She may even show up in the spin-offs as well. I think I feel that what Matt did with Selena Kyle was what I wished Christopher Nolan did with Selena Kyle from Batman Begins. Jeff Hill, hey Mick, how do you handle heartbreak? You just deal with it. You have to move on. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with the pain. You have to just move on because there's nothing you can do about it. And if you don't have control over a situation, you have to deal with it, shrug your shoulders, and move on. It takes time, but these wounds heal. Scott Edwards, the next thing to get excited about is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. In terms of DC, yeah, for me, it's about getting these movies out the way. I'm looking forward to seeing them, of course, but yeah, because this universe, this Hamada-verse, doesn't have any future. So we just got to get past them. So really, next year's a year wasted in a way. But yeah, it's DC content, of course. We'll all be talking about it and getting hyped for it. But for me, it's about the future. Abraham Herrera, today I found out Carrie Fisher was a writer too. She was a script doctor in the 90s. I didn't know that. I knew she wrote a book or two, but that's interesting. Yeah, wow. And of course, script doctors are very, very important. Because, of course, all scripts have to go through script doctors. This is Hollywood. This is how it works, isn't it? You don't just write something. You know, these people have to look at it. And this is what happens with films. This is what happened with Rogue One, of course. Scott and Edwards, so why couldn't they release Batgirl? Well, I'll tell you why, because the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery felt he wanted to release it in movie theaters, and it wasn't at that quality. The exact words of the test audience was that it had the quality of a CW pilot. Now, that may be fine for you, being an Arrowverse fan, but it wasn't right for the studio to go forward with it. Abraham Herrera. Jeff Hill, why is Batman better than Superman? He ain't. Abraham Herrera, she worked on the script of The Last Action Hero. It blew my mind. Heard it in a Joe Blow video. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it? I think that's very, very interesting. Considering that film was a flop, but actually I really like that film. MSGT, because it was CW crap and it presented Keaton as Batman in the DCU. MSGT, howdy Mick, good evening to you, MSGT. Good to have you on the chat, of course. Brings more life into the chat because these chats do subside. So when you get like other regulars coming in, it starts moving. Jeff Hill, do you like Evil Superman? No. I didn't mind it now and again in Smallville, but I think we can all see that Henry wants to move on from all of that. And, you know, Evil Superman. I mean, look, Evil Superman in terms of what happens with Darkseid controlling him is one thing, but we saw him fighting the Justice League. It was a repetitive thing for Snyder, wasn't it, unfortunately? Scott Edwards, they could have reshot and reworked the film instead of canning it. Yeah, that would have cost more money, though, Scott, and Zaslav felt it wasn't worth it. That's the point. Jeff Hill, do you think Henry dislikes Snyder's approach to Superman? He likes Man of Steel, so he likes Goya's and Nolan's approach. Yeah, I don't think he likes the approach at all. But I have friends I disagree with, as you saw the other day when Henry was being interviewed. Both men are very close and respect each other. But it's okay to disagree with a friend constructively. MSGT, I think Batgirl needs to be presented in the DCEU organically, and I'd like to see a Batgirl is more than somebody who tosses on a costume and simply fights bad guys. Needs training. Listen, I don't know what that look. She was literally going to be Miss Marvel. She was literally going to be She-Hulk. That's the kind of political mentality around it. And Zaslav saw it, and he is trying to protect the DC brand, as he said. And he didn't feel the way they went at that movie was protecting the DC brand. So this is why it got shelved. It's not rocket science. Personally, I didn't lose any sleep over this. I'm sure if you're a Batgirl fan, you're pissed off, but really you should be happy because your favorite character should be represented in the right way. And I feel that that character wasn't going to be represented in the right way. Ultimately, Zaslav made the right decision, even though a lot of people don't agree with it. And some people will just see things with a DC logo and shill it, and that's fine. Batgirl deserves a quality movie. She does, and that shelved movie wasn't a quality movie. I also think that he was looking for a movie to get a tax right back off of, and he kind of thought that one would do. But again, I ain't losing any sleep over it. MSGT, Batgirl is a derivative character. I always find her that boring. Well, I don't think she's boring. Look, she's pretty cool, and she's like a pretty cool character in the DC universe. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that the man didn't like the quality of the movie, so he shelved it. Jeff Hill, would you want to see a black Batman? Well, they've done it on audio dramas, haven't they? Yes, I think that's fine. I think personally for me, and I don't know about the comics, it's a bit like Val Zod and President Superman. It's great that we've got those two black Supermen. And I'd like, if there's not one, like another character who's African-American or Latino who could be Batman, not necessarily Bruce Wayne. Scott Edwards, so will Supergirl be in post-Flashpoint timeline still? That's the big question, and nobody knows. Abraham Herrera, I seem to see a new wave of people reacting to the Snyderverse on YouTube. Might be because of all the Henry Cavill news lately. Maybe Witcher fans who want to see his other projects. Listen, Henry Cavill has always been very popular as Superman, and the excitement level for his announcement is very, very exciting. So, yeah. Comic book cast, though, Abraham, or anyone else are not to be listened to. Jeff Hill, have you ever used Tinder? I have. Yes, I have. Yes, it's shit. It's fucking shit. You've got a bunch of dog mummers on there. If you don't love me, you don't love my dog. Being all picky, right? Being all picky, I gave up on it. It is shit. Shit. Bad Super Stanley did a few comic books when he reimagined the Justice League character. He did a black Batman. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Jeff Hill laughing. MSGT, but is it? But whatever. Scott Edwards, I don't think the Mandalorian shows will even acknowledge the sequel trilogy. Will do their own thing with Luke and everything. Yeah, but that's a Luke from the past. So it's all canon, Scott. It's all canon. I don't think they're going to make it up as they go along. But that's a younger Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi, isn't it? So that's fine. I mean, there were a lot of rumors about deleting what happened in The Last Jedi, but I don't think so. John, would you be happy if James Gunn directed the next Superman movie? I'd be skeptical. I don't think it's going to happen, by the way. So I'm not concerned about it because James has got his own projects in the Suicide Squad department to do. So I'm not even looking at that. It's not a reality for me. I don't think he likes Superman. I don't think he's in his strengths as a director, a writer-director to do Superman. So, yeah. But it would be an interesting reveal. Bad Super. James Gunn is the wrong person for Superman. I don't think his style fits Superman. Well, he'd have to adapt, wouldn't he? Certainly, he couldn't do, Would Dave Filoni be a good director for Superman? Well, he's a very limited director. He's more of an animator and a writer. So yeah, I think he's a bit too inexperienced for Superman. Scott Edwards, in other words, this is set long enough before sequels. They don't even have to worry about it. Exactly. That's the whole point of doing it, isn't it? So far away from the sequel trilogy that they don't have to touch it. Yeah. This is Movies TV Man. I'm Mick, your host with the most. We're having a great live, great conversations right now. We have 7 viewers, 11 likes. I'm here in the morning with the DC Universe Daily Live. I do a special pre-recorded video straight afterwards. Then we come live in the evening. So content galore on Movies TV Mad. And we will continue to push out the content. It's a big time to be a DC fan. There's lots to discuss. Scott Edwards, they can still do some cool stuff with Ashoka and Luke teaming up. They can if they wanted to. Oh, sorry, Abraham. I think I missed your comment there. Abraham Herrera, I trust no one, Mick. I do my own research and make up my own mind. But I like discussing it here with everybody. I even watch Grace Randolph videos because it gives me context. I suppose that's your prerogative, isn't it? Abraham Herrera, do you plan to go back to Hollywood anytime soon, Mick? Yeah, maybe next year. There's something going on there. So maybe in the new year. I'm still considering that because I've got a good setup here in Cyprus with the plays that I write, direct, and star in. Got my fingers in a few pies here in Cyprus. So, and it's comfortable. I've got this beautiful home here. So, yeah. Where's this is my family home. So, yes, it'd be difficult to leave it. Scott Edwards, I'm interested in to see Ashoka's final fate. I'd rather not see her final fate. I don't want to see her die. I don't like endings. I don't like definitive endings. That's why I like Life on Mars, because it wasn't a definitive ending. I hate the stories that have to give you definitive endings. It's so basic. As MSGT, great time for DC fans, but we are sort in holding pattern. We have 4 Hamadaverse films that have to get released before this new leadership can start presenting the new. Yeah, we're in this kind of state of flux. Yeah, you're right. This is why my motivations levels for these upcoming movies isn't that high, because in my opinion, they have little relevance. And some people get upset when I say that, but I think it's true. You know, this is the end. And the sooner they're released, I wish they could all be released now so we could get over it. But they still have to make the content. So it kind of buys them some time until they do. So it's all good. I think the better time for DC fans will be when Gunn and Safran announce slates. When we hear, hopefully, if it's happening, a writer-director for Superman. So these are the exciting things. Scott Edwards, you think we're building towards a big fight between Ashoka and Thrawn? Yep. Abraham Herrera. But that's why Flash is getting extensive reshoots, right? Well, it's had some reshoots in the summer. I don't think it's having any more. MSGT, no, you are right. They have little relevancy, depending on whatever they are doing next. Ronix creator, did you read Before the Batman novel, which discussed Bettinson's origins of traveling the world to become Batman? I didn't know. You must be talking about the Batman prequel comic. No, I didn't read that. It's something that would have been better if we actually saw it in the movie. Personally, it worked with Batman Begins. But then I suppose because it was in Batman Begins, he didn't want it in the movie this time. Let's do it for our country. Our country wants us to It's Uncle Sam that's asking. Grease 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have a long day, man. Welcome to the show. It's the place to be, even though nobody knows it's the place to be. As far as I'm concerned, I'm biased. It is the place to be. MSGT got Kiss to pick up later. Later's Mick. See you later, MSGT. Thank you for coming in. Jeff Hill. Hey, Mick. You think DJ secretly hates Shazam? I don't think he hates Shazam. I just think that he wants to keep them separate. And it's a dumb idea, unfortunately. It's a very dumb idea. It's not the way we're going to move to in the future. Jeff Hill, hey, Mick. Oh, no, I've read that. I don't think he hates Shazam. I just think he wants to keep them separated. And at the end of the day, you know, proper, clever people who work in this industry, that, you know, Kevin Feige wouldn't think that way. James Gunn wouldn't think that way. And he can't go around running things, I'm afraid. He ain't the movie star he thinks he is. I mean, the Black Adam box office proves that. Because actors don't sell properties anymore. Franchises do. You know, it's different. It's different. It don't happen like that anymore. No one sells a movie. Rihanna's creator. Rihanna's creator, are you a gamer? No, I'm not, unfortunately. Not my bag. As a kid, I didn't mind playing Mario Kart, Delta on the Commodore 64 and things like that. And I like playing FIFA, but I'm not a deep gamer. Expensive business, though, isn't it, being a gamer? And I mean, some of you guys have got the PS5, the new Xbox, probably the latest Nintendo. Jeff Hill, have you considered wearing a toupee? Keep the comments coming, everyone. This is Movies TV Mad. We're live. Keep the chat flowing. Jeff Hill, is John Campea right that a Superman movie is closer than we think? Yes, and it doesn't take Campea to work that out. All you have to do is listen to Henry Cavill. It's pretty obvious something's going on, yes. That is definitely the case. A Superman movie and a director and a title will be announced sooner rather than later for sure. Within the next 4 weeks, I would say. Abraham Herrera, the next one in line is Shazam 2, right? Yes, Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, the Flash movie, Blue Beetle, then Aquaman at the end of the Lost Kingdom at the end of the year, and that's the end of the Hamadaverse. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I mean, it's pretty much a predictable movie. I mean, it's a shame, really, for that sequel, considering we had Superman at the end of the last movie, that this wasn't a Billy Batson and Superman mentor superhero kind of movie. Unfortunately, Henry Cavill wasn't back in the DC game then, but that would have been a perfect sequel. And it's something that Feige at Marvel would have done if he was in charge of that franchise, because it's an obvious thing to do, because that's what it's like in the comics. Superman is Billy's mentor. Jeff Hill, what's the next DC film James Gunn will direct? James hasn't got any movies coming up. He's at the moment, well, he's still finishing off Guardians 3, but the next DC project he's working on is Peacemaker 2. So there's no upcoming films for James Gunn right now. But there could be a secret one being planned. Maybe we'll get an announcement sooner rather than later. Abraham Herrera, I would like The Flash to steal the show next year. It's one of those movies, isn't it? It's one of those movies that could go either way, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. Will Ezra Miller be in jail by then? You know, that film could go so many different ways. You know, that film could definitely be shelved from now to June. I mean, we were told by the sister of the director about 4 months ago, I think, was it, or a little bit less than that a trailer was coming soon. That was about 4 or 5 months ago. So it's a very messy situation. Very. I mean, it's got everything a DC fan would want. Crossovers, cameos. Baz Super, I did some more digging. I think I figured out what those untitled event dates are that we talked about yesterday. There shouldn't be any untitled events, Baz Super, for this year. This year's nearly over. So there can't actually be any proper untitled events. It's not relevant for this year. It's not. Because you're now in November, we got December. MSGT, I'm back. Wasn't there a Flash trailer a few months back? It will be interesting to see how much of a trailer no longer exists in the final product. Well, we saw something at DC Fandom. Something very, very brief. We barely saw anything. And I mean, that's what I call a teaser. And that's all we've had. But nothing nothing substantial. Which I think is very, very telling as well. I mean, that teaser really showed nothing. I mean, we had a little tease of Keaton's Batcave, the new costume, but it wasn't certainly anything where you could come to any decision about whether you think this movie is worth it. MSGT, well, if not before, we will definitely get a trailer with the Shazam release. Nothing's definite anymore, my friend. Nothing's definite. We'll see. We'll see. The Flash movie is one of those things that, you know, who knows? Who knows? The star of the film could be imprisoned by its release. Who knows? We may not even ever see this movie. I mean, I'm not saying that's a reality. I'm saying that anything can happen here. It's one of those situations. I don't know. I don't know anymore with this franchise. I really don't. I just want to get past it, and I want to look to the future, because I don't think these films are breaking any molds or anything. I just think they're standard superhero fare. Right, guys, get your comments in before I wrap up tonight's show. We've been here for 1 hour and 36 minutes, which has been absolutely fantastic. So get in your final thoughts before I wrap up. And it's been a great live, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been great. Some great points made, some great discussions made. It hasn't been a big news day, unfortunately, but obviously the future, there's going to be a lot to talk about. So we'll see what happens. Of course, I will check Twitter after I finish this live. I don't think there's any breaking news out there. I'm sure someone in the chat would have mentioned it. Bass Super, I hope the new Superman movie will be amazing and a great start for the DCU. So do I. That's what we all want, isn't it? A great Superman movie, because Superman movies, you know, there's something nostalgic about them. There's something special about the character. And really, Henry has said it all, really. And I agree with everything Henry Cavill said. Absolutely right. This isn't Batman in a cape. You know, he's not. He's a happy hero. He's a hero who wants to be a hero, not for revenge, not for vanity, not for fame. It's like what Hawkman says to him in the Smallville movie event, Absolute Justice. You're not like the others. You're not here for fame or fortune or vengeance. And it's brilliant. That's who Superman is. And that's what makes him awesome. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know this is beautiful perfection. I will see you tomorrow morning with the, what's it called? The DC Universe Daily Live. I will do a pre-recorded video straight after, and we'll do another live chat, and maybe we'll have a better news day tomorrow, because the new stuff's good because we can feed off of it. But you can't have big news every day. Last week was huge. Henry Cavill re-announced. James Gunn, Pete Safran announced to lead the new DC Studios, DC Universe. So that's news normally you'd be feeding off for a whole month. So who knows when the next breaking news will be. Bass Super, see you next live. Thank you, Bass Super. Great talking to you. Abraham, MSGT, Jeff, and Ronnie Dodge. Nearly forgot your name there, Ronnie. Abraham, everyone. It's been great. It's been great talking to you all. And until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Bass Super. Thank you very much, Bass Super. Thank you, everyone. See you again soon.